Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. Government is something we deal with and talk about all the time. We have a hand in it by voting every once in a while, but usually it's something that's far off and remote. It's things that we don't really have a direct contact with, other than those occasional arguments, complaints, conversations that we have once in a while when things kind of grab our attention. You drive a car, you own a piece of property, maybe you've thought about getting a pistol permit, or maybe you have one. There's these things and a lot of other things that you deal with in everyday life, and they put you in direct contact with one part of the government, and that is the county clerk. The county clerk's office is not so remote. It's the one part of government, more than any other, that directly interacts with the public every day of the year. No matter where you live, your county clerk is responsible for keeping the public filing cabinet in order so that you and yours can figure out what's going on in, shall we say, your official lives. There are just under 1 million people living here in Erie County. On this big picture, my guest is the guy on whose shoulders falls the responsibility for your driver's licenses, your property deeds, passport applications, hunting licenses, court records, and on and on and on. Some pretty big shoulders. Surprised they fit into the studio. Mickey Kearns is with us now. He's our Erie County Clerk to talk about all things clerk's office. Welcome to the show, Mickey.
First, Phil, thank you for having me here. And secondarily, I'm going to have to talk to my communications director because I think we're going to put that on the website. How you encapsulize that of saying that we hold the public's cabinet of documents is so true. And we do about 2 million transactions each year cumulatively for the whole office. We deal with the business community, many lawyers, researchers, and we just deal with the regular common person, as you said, who may have to come into one of our local DMVs to maybe renew a driver's license, renew a registration, renew or register a snowmobile. There's so many different things that we do, and you're right. The clerk's office is the office that is closest to the people in county government, and we try our best to work with people to make sure that they have options. Just recently, here we're at the Eastern Hills Mall, we expanded hours on Saturday to 8 hours. We know that people have very busy schedules, and we have 2 other facilities where we're open up at 7 in the morning. So we can either get you at the beginning of the day from 7 to 9, or we're right even with the mall hours, Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 6, and on Saturdays from 8 to 3. So we want to work with people, we want to communicate to them, and we're trying to make a transaction at the Auto Bureau. This is not your father or your grandfather's or your mother's DMV. This is a new operation where we've integrated technology and really listened to the customers. We actually survey customers to get their input and feedback. And I will personally call people to say, hey, that's a great idea, and thank you for participating in our survey. So it's a big and major operation. We're an agent of the state. I do not put policy together. We have to work with New York State, but it is quite a benefit to Erie County because we receive 12.75% for every transaction we do. And just to leave you with this, how important it is, during COVID-19, we were the surplus of Erie County, meaning the Erie County Clerk's Office had a $5 million surplus. Cumulatively, Erie County had a $5 million surplus. It's a very important office. It's the revenue generating office for Erie County.
Well, I was in one of the offices, actually the one here in Eastern Hills Mall, not too long ago, probably about 2 weeks ago. And the wait was probably under 7 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, which really surprised me because when I first got my driver's license, I mean, you had to pack a suitcase in order to get it.
Oh, yeah.
You just, the wait time was incredible. So there's quite a difference.
We've re-engineered the whole office. And I'm very proud of that, and there's other things that we're going to accomplish in the next few years. But the DMV, people come in. If you make an appointment, we do accept walk-ins, but if you make an appointment and if you are ready with the proper documentation, we have clerk on the goes throughout the county. we'll get you in and out quite quickly. And we really appreciate people coming in.
Okay, two things, because we're going to cover a lot of things on this program. But with the DMV, there's those yellow plates that have peeling paint coming off,
Right.
and the real ID, the special ID that you had to get by a certain deadline, that got put off. Tell me about those two things.
So if you have a peeling plate, you can come in free of charge and we'll exchange that plate for you. Now, if you have a custom plate, we would have to go direct to Albany because we do not handle the custom plates. But if you have a regular plate, ABC 1234, and you want to get another plate, it's peeling, we encourage people to come in because law enforcement is ticketing. It's a free transaction. It's very, very fast. It's a very quick transaction. You're in and out in less than 5 minutes. Of course, the real ID, that's when we were attacked by terrorists. We now have a federal ID called an enhanced driver's license, or the real ID. And you will have to, when that becomes compliant, it was May of 2023, my birthday, May 3rd. It's been moved, and there will be an announcement. But in order to fly domestically, you have to have a federal ID. So if you want to fly from Buffalo to Florida, you will not be able to get on that plane without an enhanced driver's license or a valid passport. So going forward into the future, we're hopeful that will keep our country safe. I think it's a great idea, but you need the proper documentation. The biggest thing that I see is you need an original birth certificate, not a church birth certificate, but an original birth certificate, not a hospital certificate. And in addition to that, if you've changed your name, if you've been married or divorced, you have to show the change in the name. So it could be a divorce decree or a marriage certificate. We can help you with that at the clerk's office downtown. And the best thing is to ask questions. But this is a real thing that you will be, and we talked to Homeland Security, if in the future you do not have that, you will not be able to board a plane. That's a pretty serious thing if you put a vacation together.
Now, real quickly, if I was born in the city of Buffalo, would you have the birth certificate or the city?
That's a good question. So your birth and your death certificate always happen. They're filed where you're born and where you die. So if you were born in the city of Buffalo, you would go to the 13th floor of City Hall, to the city clerk's office, and they can give you a copy of that, a certified copy, and that's what we would need. That's what the federal government would want.
Okay, but anywhere outside of the city of Buffalo, would it be in the counties?
You would have to go to their, no, you would have to, they are the holder of the birth certificate. So if you were, wherever you were born, that's where the birth certificate is. It's not currently where you reside. That's where the hospital would file it.
What files do you guys keep? Is it death certificates or
we have a lot of different files. You know, we are the keeper of the records. The main thing that we have is we keep on record the DD-214. That's the discharge paper for our veterans. It's a very important document that when one of our veterans, he or she dies, what would happen is, in order to receive federal benefits, they want a copy of that. Now, we all know many of our parents, some are organized, some are disorganized. They may lose it. They've been out of the service for probably in some instances 60, 70, and sometimes 80 years. So we keep that on file, we keep a copy, and then when that happens, the family members know it's in good keeping. And also, it's a prerequisite for us to getting a Thank-A-Vet card. And that's a program that we work with. I inherited that program. We expanded that program. We work with about 1,500 businesses locally, nearly 40,000 vets in Erie County, where they get a discount card. And many of our businesses want to say thank you for the service that you've done for our community.
Okay, and that's a program that you guys can help, you know, with the Thank-A-Vets. That's what it's called.
If you have been honorably discharged, and you have it'll say on your DD-214, we would take that, we would file that and hold that in good keeping in the clerk's office, and then we would give you a card. That card is good if you took it to an establishment. There's many different establishments, restaurants, you know, different stores, mostly retail, that will give people a discount. Handymen and handywomen, people who are putting roofing companies, the list goes on and on. We have a book, and you can go online and you can see what companies participate. And many of our veterans, they're so humble. Oh, Mickey, I don't want to do that. Why? You earned it. It's an honor, and it's a thank you from us for what you've done to keep us free.
Okay. We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment. Tell me a little bit about passports.
Sure. So we accept the passports. We work with the local passport agency. Now with COVID-19, many people are looking to travel again. So your passport expires. I encourage people to go. They haven't traveled in quite some time, and I get a lot of the phone calls. We're leaving in 2 weeks. We're leaving in 3 weeks. You can get an expressed passport where you can go and they will express it. You'll have to pay extra for that, but we encourage people, go to your documents where you keep all your safe documents, look at it, and if it's a year out, I would start planning on coming in. You can come into our office. We'll help you fill out the paperwork. We'll take the picture, and we'll get you going for a passport.
And that is at the DMV offices? You can do
No,
that,
you could do it at 92 Franklin. Also, we're at the Southgate Plaza, adjacent to the DMV. Next door, we have an outreach center that's open Monday through Friday, same 9 to 5, but we have late hours on Thursday where we're open to 7 o'clock.
And any of this information is on your website?
Yep, erie.gov/clerk. And you know, one thing we're finding is we normally did in past maybe 40 passports a month. We're doing between 150 to 200 passports a month. That's really good for Erie County. It's a revenue generator, but it's also the convenience of many, and this is not disrespectful, many of the post offices are overburdened. They don't have time to process the passports. They literally send them to us and say, go see Mickey Kearns, he'll take care of you.
Okay, well, you know, it can be a pretty complicated or at least lengthy process if it's not handled the right way. So this
and
is
documentation, filling out documentation is what my staff is best at, and we will take the time to sit down with you, walk you through the process so there's no mistakes, because if there is a mistake, they will send that application back to you.
Okay, very good. Well, we're out of time for this segment. We'll be back right after this. We'll talk about pistol permits, hunting licenses, the whole 9 yards. Welcome back to The Big Picture. My guest is Mickey Kearns, Erie County Clerk, and we're talking about a lot of things that the clerk's office does. Some of the things people may not know about. You were talking about entrepreneurs earlier before the show. Tell me what you do to encourage entrepreneurial activities in Erie County.
We have a small business center, and literally you can come and get your DBA, that's doing business as, and we encourage people, especially entrepreneurs, new business people, when you do and you want to, down the road when you're starting to bring more customers in and you need more equity, you may say, I need some capital, I need to go to a bank. Well, you need a bank account. Can't get a bank account, a business account, without a DBA. They're going to ask you for that information. So we try to walk people through the process. Of course, we check with the Secretary of State on their name, and whether it's a proper name, that the name hasn't been taken already. So we will offer and encourage people and help them fill out documentation. We do that at 92 Franklin, down at the clerk's office. And we're more than welcome to help people, because Phil, what we're seeing now is with technology, and we know this, that many of our young people are starting their own businesses or side hustles, or they're doing things on the side with technology. They may have a day job, but they also have a night job. That's a great thing. And, you know, I think that's a positive thing, but also making sure that you said having things organized and properly filed with the government, because you're going to have to pay taxes on that income. Whether you're sending stuff on Facebook or online, whatever type of business you have, we can help you with.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the pistol permit process now. The permit office where you're filing for an application, that's right actually next to the clerk's office. What's the procedure now? Is it changed because of the various laws that have been passed? The wait time in Erie County to file an application, has that changed, or you just come right in and file? Tell me how to maneuver this situation.
So I worked in Albany for 7 years, and I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mostly it was ugly. Lack of transparency, voting at midnight, not being able to read the bill. And recently our legislature passed a bill that would change the pistol permit process. No contact with the clerks throughout New York State, none of them. no contacts with law enforcement. It was a top-down approach to change the process. I'm no longer a legislator. I have to accept those changes, follow the law. However, one of the things I did do is the law changed on September 1st. We normally get approximately 2,000 applications a year. This year, because of the change in the law, we received about 8,000. So what we are doing is we're partnering with the licensing officer, Judge Bowler, who does a great job. And literally, he is having to comply with the New York State law. We are not, and we haven't, since the change of the law, giving out any new applications because we are still processing the old applications. If you think about it, we talked about partnerships. We partner with the sheriff. Maybe the sheriff normally does 2,000 background checks. Now they're going to be doing 8,000. The judge has other duties and responsibilities. He has to make the decision, the final decision on whether you're worthy to have a pistol permit. So we're getting close to offering the new application. It is online, and we have just recently certified, partnering with the judge, the dealers, but mostly the people who put on and give the certification have to attest that they've complied with all New York State laws. That will be filed in the clerk's office. But mostly we'll be starting, it's almost like we're born again. It's a new office, it's new procedures, and we'll work with the public to streamline it. Yes, there are things that we are going to do differently. Currently, right now, we're in Alma, at Alma Town Hall on Wednesdays, and we do adds and deletes. I want to bring government closer to the people. But I could see us down the road being there, if the work merits it, having a front and a back office where people wouldn't have to come downtown. They wouldn't have to pay for parking. We can work in an Alma where it's centrally located in Erie County. So this has been a huge undertaking for our office. We didn't get any additional staff. Once again, it's an unfunded mandate by New York State saying, local government, this is what we want you to do, but they have not funded it. And in many instances, there are many gray areas. We're seeing a tremendous amount of court actions by people because the law, there is complexities to the law, but there are a lot of gray areas, and people are upset about, this is their fundamental Second Amendment right. That they don't believe that legislators can take away. The Constitution says you have a right to bear arms. So we've been facing that, working with people, but it's put a tremendous strain on our office.
Well, I was at a gun show recently, and I heard something from one of the vendors at the show that I hadn't heard anywhere, and that is that if you already have a pistol permit and you wanted to buy a firearm that was a semi-automatic, whether it was a pistol or a rifle even, if you have a pistol permit, you have to have something stamped on your permit that says semi-automatic.
Correct.
Where did that come from, and what's the requirement?
Yep, that came from New York State. One thing I am very proud of, and the gun community, we work very well with them. If you are the Erie County Clerk, whoever you are, that's part of your job. You have to work with the gun community, and we've got a great relationship. We've been able to work with Judge Bowler, and we have a one-form application that people fill out. There was a gun show, and we were able quite quickly to come up with a policy, working with the licensing officer, and we were able to process those. They thought that was going to be impossible to do, Phil. And many of the gun dealers, many of people who are gun owners were in shock that we were able to pull this off. And I always say, hey, look, government should be able to handle this stuff. And, you got to make decisions. And I made a decision. And it was a good decision. And it was a decision. We researched it. And then we went forward with it. So, yes, you have to have a stamp on your gun or on your permit for semi-automatic. And I'm continuing. Hey, listen, if we're going to change everything, let's simplify the process. I'm continuing to look at it, and we'll be looking and working with New York State Police. Right now, if you have multiple guns, you have to have multiple cards. I think as long as we have those guns in a database, we shouldn't have to have multiple cards. But we do have to file the penal code 410. So we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to work with people. But that's another service that we provide. And when you think about it, processing, you go from processing 2,000 applications up to 8,000, it puts a tremendous strain. But you know, as of today, I'm proud to say, from our standpoint, that we'll move on. I asked before I came, I said, where are we at? And I check on a daily basis. We're down to 300 more applications that we're processing. Yeah. So we're trying to communicate with people. People give their email. We're sending them an email. We're letting them know where they are in the process. Never been done before.
Well, just for the people who haven't heard about it or don't know what the requirements are, in order to get that semi-automatic stamp on your permit,
yep, they can come into our office.
What are the requirements? Is it just
there is no requirement. It's a formality. It's filling out a form. You're grandfathered in because of previous background checks. So you're grandfathered in, and you're able to come in and fill out the form, and you will be certified. We will then, like you said, give you that stamp, and you'll be ready to go.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about Clerk on the Go.
I love this. I can't sit still. I love talking to people. I love working with people. It's the favorite part of being an elected official. I love helping people. So it was something I wanted to do a long time ago when I was a council member. And I wanted to have outreach centers. It just didn't work out at that time. When I came back to become the clerk, I said, we're going to do something called Clerk on the Go. Went out, we meet with people, we talk to them. We bring the services closer to them. And I'm very proud of that. We go to town halls, we go all over the place, whether it's a DMV transaction, whether it's questions about our services. Very proud of that. Matter of fact, working with our team, we were honored in 2019 by the State Department. I had the honor of going to Washington and accepting an award. Phil, I believe this, 9,000 people were recommended. 6 were honored, and Erie County was one of them. So I'm very proud of that.
That's great. Before the program, we talked a little bit about document preservation, and something I hadn't known or even thought about before, but you told me about some of the very unique documents that are on file with the county.
Correct.
That are quite old, some of them quite rare, and that's up to you to preserve these documents.
Correct.
Give me an example.
So the Holland Land Company was the largest developer of property, and all of those maps, those original maps, the city was incorporated in 1832. So those maps are in the clerk's office. We have the original maps. I feel that we have a duty and an obligation to preserve those maps. We were talking about Leon Salges, who assassinated President McKinley at the Pan Am exhibition. Well, his charge book is here in the Erie County Clerk's office, and we want to work with the Teddy Roosevelt Society National Center to make sure that people can see that. That shouldn't be in the clerk's office. And I said how quickly it was. I think it was 1 week from being charged to executed. So they did things a little different in those days. But of course, William McKinley was laid out and stayed in the clerk's office. So we have rare documents. And here's the thing too. There are covenants, restrictive covenants that attorneys will still look at. There could be cases, neighborhood squabbles where, you know, where our land, where our proper, title, and where is definitely land boundaries and where those are at. We keep a lot of information, and I've had attorneys say, you know, this document I know is 100 years old, but the house was built 100 years ago. The city of Buffalo, as I said, incorporated in 1832. So, you know, it's been, you know, quite some time. So we hold all those documents, and we're working with local attorneys. We're going to be putting a committee together to make sure that we keep these documents. And something that we don't have, and I want to have, we're going to have a designated person, almost be like our historian for the clerk's office, because once I'm gone someday, there will be a new clerk, and I think he and she should understand the gravity of the job of these documents. They're one of a kind. You can't go back on eBay and get them again. So we scan documents now. That's normal what most people do in businesses. We've got a scanning program. So in the future, we may have that, but these older documents we got to preserve.
Okay, well, we've got about 1 minute left.
Sure.
I want to ask you the last question I want to ask you is, pick out one service that you guys do that most people in Erie County wouldn't know.
You know, we help people with foreclosures. You know, foreclosure prevention, I think, is important to me. That's why I came and became the clerk. If you're watching today, there's nearly 10,000 people that have received a pre-foreclosure notice. That's where you're 2 or 3 months behind on your mortgage. You can contact the Western New York Law Center at 716-828-8429, or call me directly, 716-858-6985. There's a lot of scams out there, Phil. And we partner with our other partners, whether it's the sheriff or the district attorney, to prevent those scams. So a lot of people don't know that, you know, the clerk, because it's never been done, I brought that to the office, that we really work on not only preventing deed theft, but we also work very hard on keeping people in their homes.
That's terrific. Okay. Well, that's all the time we have on this big picture. I want to thank Mickey Kearns, Erie County Clerk, for being my guest. And there's certainly a lot of things that the clerk's office can help you with. You should get on their website, and there's a wealth of information there. Thank you for watching The Big Picture. Thank you for watching WBBZ-TV. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on The Big Picture.